article, I decided to discuss a major issue. I found the article, School Violence, reported school shootings and making schools safer. According to this article, an average of 20 shootings since 2010-2014 have occurred. That's a total of 80 shootings over a 4-year period. I found this article in Education, Volume 135, Issue 2, pages 145 through 150. The authors are Dr. Rosalind Duglechain and Dr. Robert Lawrence, both of the University of West Georgia. The goal of this article is to inform the public about the risk factors and behavior patterns of school shooters and to offer tips on how to make schools safer. I chose this article because school shootings have become a major issue in today's society. The author's thesis states that there are 4 identical risk factors associated with school shootings. The 4 identical risk factors that I will be discussing are bullying, individual, family, and social background, relationships and past traumas, and brain development. I will also be discussing the 2 steps on how to make schools safer. The first risk factor is bullying. Crawford gave a study in 2001 that studied 37 school shootings. Of those 37 shootings, 75% of the shooters were teased, threatened, or physically harmed by another member within the school. J. Klein's 2007 description of today's school culture and why shootings take place states that girls who rejected the shooter previously and students who name-called the shooter were targeted. Crawford's studies and J. Klein's description proved that bullying led to the shooter taking it out on the ones who were bullying him or her. Besides bullying, the demographics of a shooter is another factor. The next risk factor I'll be discussing is the individual, family, and social background of a shooter. The CDC, Lisa Snell, and Alexander Volkoff performed 2 studies that resulted in a list composed of similar issues found in school shooters. Personal, family, social issues such as attention deficits, learning disorders, no affection towards parents, no economic opportunities, and no community involvement were found. The CDC, Snell, and Volkoff proved that demographics contain issues that play a part in why shooters commit these acts. Although personal background is a factor, past relationships and traumas play a key role. The third risk factor is relationships and past traumas. In the April 2007 Virginia Tech massacre, Sung Ha Cho was the shooter. He had no communication with his parents. Most school shooters have no contact with anyone. According to the CDC, traumatic events have shown to play a leading role in these events. In the Virginia Tech massacre, studies done by the CDC, broken relationships and past traumas have led to tragic school shootings. Not only are these past traumas a key factor, but also the mental health of a shooter. The last factor I'll be discussing is brain development. Joe Mantley's research proved that there's a link between the psychological effects of the lack of attachment and how the human brain develops. Mantley's article, Risk Factors in School Shooting, talks about the region of the human brain that makes personal and social decisions. He also adds that mainly males are affected by brain disorders and it affects their self-control. Mantley's article proves that the development of a human brain is a huge cause in many of these shootings. Aside from the risk factors, the article gives a few steps on ensuring school safety. The last thing I'll be discussing is the safety of schools. The lingering question is how can schools create a safer learning environment? According to Redler, a few steps can be taken. Limited entry. Limited entry means that schools should only have a few ways to get into the school, and it should be patrolled by an adult who is trained to filter who is allowed to come in and who is not. The second step is teacher administration awareness. Teachers should know what is going on between their students and report any suspicious activity immediately. With the steps provided by Redler, it's just 2 of the many ways we can make our schools safer. Today I've discussed the risk factors of a school shooter and have explained 2 steps that can potentially make schools safer. In conclusion, the risk factors that have been associated with school shootings are bullying, individual, family, and social background, relationships and past traumas, and brain development. Limited entry and teacher awareness are 2 ways to ensure school safety. I'll leave you with this quote by Dalai Lama. It says, "There is a saying in Tibetan, tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. No matter what sort of difficulties, how painful the experience is, if we lose hope, that is the real disaster." Yay.